Hello, hi, and welcome to this episode of the Mandy Mayer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where we chat all about your health, your fitness, your goals, you reaching and achieving those goals and just working on it every single day and creating a little bit of progress bit by bit for yourself on your health and fat loss expedition or any expedition that you are working on. So today's episode is going to be a little bit of a different kind of episode. I'm not coming to you with tips or advice or strategies on health and fat loss. I'm going to give you a bit of an update as to where I am and what I am currently working on. Okay. And for you to fully understand where I'm going with my business, a lot of people don't actually know this. A lot of people think I just do social media posts and I do YouTube videos and I make podcasts. And a lot of people believe that's how I earn an income, when realistically I earn 0 cents, nada, nix, nothing from any of that. My full-time job is actually a coach. Right, so I do coaching for health and fat loss, right? And when I tell people that, they're so shocked. They're like, oh, we thought you just do social media. Like, no, literally, no. My full-time job is a coach. I do online coaching. And I think about it, and it was just over 4 years ago, maybe 4.5 years ago, I signed up my first online client, right? And for those of you that don't know, I was in tourism for many years, many years. I want to say 15 years. I don't actually know. And when COVID hit, I got retrenched from the tourism industry because obviously there was no more jobs for us. And then I was like, well, how the fuck am I going to pay rent? I'm like, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to pay for anything? Because, it just, the shit had hit the fan, basically. So I started this online business, and I remember, I still know to this day who my first client was. And I remember, sending this client a Excel sheet and asking the client to fill out the Excel sheet. And then I manually calculated the calories with a formula. And I emailed it back to her, and everything was just so manual. And I had no calorie calculator. I had no software. I had no systems. I had nothing. And then shortly after that, I think I signed up another client, and then I signed up another one. And just keeping in mind that I was still half and half working for this tourism company, because at the moment, in that moment in time, I was a general manager of the company. So there was still a lot of logistics in the background that had to be done before I got fully retrenched, or before all of us actually got fully retrenched. But because I knew shit was going to hit the fan, and I knew that I was going to get retrenched, I already started taking on one-on-one clients for my health and fat loss programs, even before I got retrenched. And I remember taking on a couple of clients, and I know you're probably like, where is she going with this story now? Anyway, so I remember taking on a couple of clients, and those Excel sheets, that was my all-time favorite. Like just sending those Excel sheets, getting the people to fill in the Excel sheets. And I was so excited. The one day I sent a picture to my mom, and I had this whiteboard. And on the whiteboard was pretty much all the time slots that I had available. And I think every evening, so after my full-time job or whatever it was in tourism, trying to keep things afloat when we knew it wasn't even going to work, I had time slots in the evening. And the time slots were, I think, from 6 till 6:30, 6:30 till 7, or whatever it was. And I remember at one stage, I sent a photo of that whiteboard to my mom, and I'm like, fuck, mom, I'm fully booked. I'm fully booked. And I think it was something like 10 clients. And, I was over the moon, me and my Excel sheets and manual formulas with regards to calorie calculations. And, we fast forward till the end of 2020, and I think it was actually October 2020, and I know that I was going to get retrenched right at that moment, and I was like, cool, let me launch a group program. I'm like, I want to see if there's any interest in a group program, because I can get more people together at once and teach them what I'm teaching every individual, right? So if I've only got 10 available slots at night, if I can get 10 people or 20 people into a group and run weekly calls, and work with them in a group capacity without taking away the quality of the service, I was like, that's something I have to try. And I remember I was like, cool, I'm going to run this. I'm going to run this group program. And I opened up 20 spots because in my mind, I was like, there's no way I can get more than, 15 people. Even 20 people within the first group was very ambitious for me. And I remember this day so clearly. I sold out. I sold out 20 spots. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to work with 20 people? Everyone, I need to do this manual Excel sheet with every single person, and I need to manually calculate their calories for every single person. I'm like, this is way too much for me to handle. Anyway, so I managed to pull it off, and I worked long hours and 7 days a week. And there was days where I was doing calls on a Sunday. There was days where I was doing calls on Boxing Day, and the grind was never stopping. I was always pushing. And after that first group program of 20 people, I got retrenched just after that. And then I was like, cool. Carried over into the next year, and I think that was 2021, and I was like, cool, running a program in the beginning of January, and at that stage the programs were 8 weeks long, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to open up to 25 people, because if I could get 20 people on the last program, I can get 25 people on the next program, but I cannot take more than that because of the Excel sheet situation and the manual this and the manual this, and it was, just too much to do manually. And I got the 25 people, and I messaged my mom, and I messaged a friend of mine, and I messaged my partner. I'm like, 25 people. I'm like, my goodness. I'm like, and I was so ecstatic. Anyway, so we fast forward up until today, and for the last 4 years, I want to say, I've been building my business in the background, and I've gone from that Excel sheet. I'll never forget that Excel sheet, and I'll never forget the manual calorie calculations. And we've gone to me running off a software, running off an app system. A lot of it is not automated in a sense where calorie calculations are a lot easier. Running programs of around 100 people per program. Last year at one point I fucked up a little bit, and I ran a program of, I think it was 130, 140 people for 6 weeks. And again, the reason why I tell you that is, there is something that you can learn from that. Is I really, really didn't believe that I could do any of this, but also I, had to start from nowhere. I had to start with a fucking Excel sheet. I had to start with fucking manual calculations for calories. And that's the same, nowadays people want everything just at the ease. Everything has to be easy. That's what I'm trying to say. Whereas what I just explained now is sometimes you have to get down and dirty, like not like that though, guys. You keep that for the bedroom there. But you have to get down and dirty and do the hard work, do the manual work, do everything that you don't necessarily want to do to be able to see progress and to be able to grow. Anyway, so I've come to the point now where I have decided to change up my business a little bit, and that's what I'm currently working on. Not because what I was doing wasn't successful. As you've just heard now, I was running groups of a massive amount of people, but the admin involved in that, the admin involved in working with such a big group of people is horrendously massive. It is a lot. The admin work is exhausting. Now, by admin work, I don't mean working with clients. I absolutely love that. I love that. I can do that every single day for the rest of my life. Like, I love helping people work on their goals, but it's just all these little admin pieces that are not pieced together and automated, right? So I thought the Excel sheet and the manual calorie calculations was a lot of admin, right? But when you're signing up a huge amount of people, the building of the profiles, the calculating of the calories, the amount of admin that goes into everything before you can even start coaching someone is something that I am working on changing. And to be able to do that and automate a lot of what I'm doing, I need to fully rebuild what I was doing. And that's exactly the point that I am currently at. impact. And that is the update that I wanted to give you guys. So I'm working on changing the way that I operate the business, not my coaching. My coaching style stays exactly the same. I'm just looking at a way of taking on those amount of people and still showing up as a coach, but showing up even better because I don't have that much admin to do. And that's the same with you on your health and fat loss expedition or whatever expedition you are on. You know, you get to a point where you have to start tweaking things. You can't, you know, if what you are doing, if you feel what you're doing is not currently working, or you feel there is room for improvement, you have to be willing to make the changes and willing to tweak things so that you can continue moving forward and continue progressing. And that's exactly what I'm doing in my business. As I mentioned, the coaching style stays exactly the same, but I'm really placing so much emphasis on a community-based platform. And by community-based, I don't mean a little shitty Facebook group. I'm moving away from that. I'm meaning a community page, a community membership site that I have built that is scared of nothing, right? Where we're going to come together, you, me, everyone else, going to come together and actually use it to support one another on our health and weight loss or health and fat loss expeditions, share our victories, share our struggles. On this community platform, I'm going to be doing live calls on a regular basis. There's going to be areas where you can answer or ask your questions. On the side, there's also going to be an app, a very basic habit tracking app. And I know, again, all of this sounds like a lot of admin, but this is where the difference comes in. The platform that we are building at the moment, all the admin shit is going to be fully automated, right? But again, with the rebuild comes so much work from my side, hence why I've been a lot quieter on social media, because I'm creating digital courses as well. Because we can have the community platform, which I'm going to have, but I still want you to learn. And in that, that's where I've created those digital courses. So those digital courses, the first one that I have created, it takes you from being able to calculate your own calories, to log in calories, to what food tracking apps to use, to what data to use on these food tracking apps. What, you know, if the information is missing, what do you log? I've gone to the finest of details, and I have made a video about absolutely everything that will form part of the community as well. Then they're also going to be digital products which you can purchase as a once-off if you don't want to be part of the community. So as you can see, it's just a lot of work that is going into it. But like I say, if you want to continue growing, you've got to continue pushing forward. You've got to continue making tweaks. You've got to continue making changes, right? And I know what I'm currently working on is going to be phenomenal. And I don't somewhere, you know, think the sun shines out of my ass, but the amount of work that I'm putting into it at the moment, like I'm still hoping in the back of my mind, you know, we all have that little bit of fear of failure. I'm still hoping in the back of my mind I can pull it off. Look at me being all cocky, chatting about it on a podcast episode, and in the background worrying about whether I can pull it off. But that's my thing is, if you have a dream, or if you have a passion, or if you have a goal, look at me 4.5 fucking years ago. I was sitting in a job that I hated, like I absolutely hated. And I was still living at my mom and dad's because I was going through a pretty bad breakup at that stage. I think 5 or whatever years ago it was. And I was coming home every single night, almost in tears, to my mom and dad, how I hated that bloody job. And you know what? Yes, I got retrenched. And even then I was like, this is the worst thing ever. But it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was the fucking best thing ever, because now I'm doing what I love doing. And what started off with a bloody Excel sheet and a manual calculation for calories and one amazing client, my first client, I remember, right? It ends up in me telling you everything that I'm currently working on and the amazing changes. I mean, it's that big that I've actually employed a web development team to build it for me, because there's no ways that I can build it, right? And I'm just super excited to be sharing this news with you guys, to let you know that, you know, there's going to be so many different options for you to choose from when it comes to services or progressing on your health and fat loss expedition from next year onwards, because that's when I intend to launch it. So again, that was just a little bit of an update on my side. I felt like I wanted to share that with you guys, because oftentimes I'm just giving you information and tips and strategies and hacks, but you're not entirely aware of what goes on in the background. And that's exactly where I'm currently at. I'm putting in a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights with regards to the new build. But like I said, it's going to be absolutely amazing. The community site is going to be, I already been testing it out, playing it with it, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm super excited to share all of it with you guys. I'm just not yet at the point of being able to share it with you, because we're not quite finished yet. We're only hoping to start testing properly, probably in November side, round about there, hopefully. But again, like I said, if you're passionate about something, or if you have a dream about something or a goal about something, don't let that belief of, I can't do it, stand in the way of you actually trying. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever believe that I would sit here and say to you that I've been running fully booked programs from when I started, if I'm very honest with you, because remember, I capped them at 20, and if I got 20 clients, that was fully booked. But to the point where you're running programs with hundreds and hundreds of people, never in my wildest dreams did I ever believe that I was ever capable of doing that. I will say this, and what I want to say is thank you, because, for every single member that I have had on one of my programs from when I first started, none of this, absolutely none of this, I'm getting emotional now, none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for you guys putting your trust in me and actually fucking signing up for my programs, right? Because I could have a program, but if no one signs up to it, then there's no program, right? I can't run the program. So again, all of this is made possible. Yes, I had the dream. Yes, I got pushed into doing it. Yes, I had the passion. Yes, I've, got the knowledge. I've got the actual experience of losing the 40 kilograms. But if it wasn't for every single one of you guys that listen to the podcast, that share the podcast, every single one of you guys that have signed up for a program or bought me a coffee, a virtual coffee, or whatever it was, none of this would be possible without you guys. So again, I'm super excited to, launch this new thing that I'm working on. But again, it would not be possible if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I do appreciate it. And just thank you again to all of you for listening to me mumble on for how long now? Almost 20 minutes, for almost 20 minutes about the most random things. But thank you very much. It just goes to show, if you believe that you can do something and you show up for yourself on a consistent basis and you do it, then you can absolutely do it. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who is very exhausted but very excited to launch this new system, this new coaching platform, Mandy.